like the injuries are, I don't know. I've said it a million times. I've learned a long time ago you never question what's going on there, but it's just like it must be frustrating for Berube and the people that need just stop with the new coach. You guys, you want them to mow through a new coach again?
No, it's that the coach isn't the problem. Yes, everybody can be better. I
agree.
He
has to bear some responsibility, Jamie. You can't totally absolve him, but
I understand that.
I mean, it's like you go ahead, get rid of him, get a different coach in there, but that is just complete insanity.
I get it, and you could probably get a new coach bump here or there, but again, there are different factors. Brian, you can weigh in on this, but if you had to do a percentage pie, there's lots of blame to go around, but I still believe the players would have the biggest percentage on the pie.
Yeah.
I think there's the coach. I think there's the manager. I think there's lots of different things that come into that percentage of the pie. But injuries are one of them, too. Craig Berube can't put his gear on and go, I'm going to go block a shot. He's got to put out Dakota Mermis. He's got to put out guys that aren't everyday NHLers. Like, they don't have Austin Matthews. They don't have Matthew Knies. They don't have Chris Tanev. They don't have Stolarz.
But I keep saying this, Noodle. Even when those guys were back, they were terrible then too.
I agree.
And the biggest percentage of the blame pie, it's that decor, man. I know there's some forwards that are completely invisible, and we can touch on those guys later. But that decor just can't. Injured, not injured, healthy. They don't move well enough, and they're not moving the puck up to the forwards. They're too slow. Either they're incapable. All of us watch a lot of hockey. That's got to be one of the worst decors in the league. They're not getting it done, not even close. And
no, they are. It's not up for debate. It's not.
They're probably the worst decor in the league.
The worst in the league.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And again, Tanev would clean up a lot of that, and there's a couple other guys that you could expect to play better.
Well, Carlo and Tan. If Carlo would play better, and if Tanev was available, you're at least looking. There's an NHL decor there.
Yes.
That's the truth. I mean, we started the season, they brought back the same six that looked really good in the playoffs last year, the same six that were hard to play against, and whatever else verbs that we used to describe them in a positive way. They didn't forget how to play hockey, but you miss players, and the players aren't playing to their capabilities. That's two things I would say that are hurting that defensive core.
Yeah, and again, the depth of the organization is being challenged, and this is again a reality of a 9-year run, where they kept going for it and going for it and going for it, and it's not. You understand why, whether you agreed or disagreed with certain trades, everyone's going to have an opinion on that, but in terms of the larger picture and the philosophy, that there was 9 years, they thought, okay, we're right there. They knew they were going to the playoffs. They knew they had high-end talent. They knew they had a lot of younger players that were very good, that were in their prime. And as a result, they traded a lot of picks and a lot of prospects. And now they're in a situation here where when they do run into any injuries, they just simply don't have replacements. Like, they don't have them. And, defensively in particular, it's been an issue with this organization throughout my lifetime.
Right.
They just – like, you talk about the 6D that they started with. One of them was drafted by this team, Morgan Riley. The other 5 all acquired from somewhere else.
Yep.
The other guys they're calling up here, don't have a track record of drafted and developed and guys that can step into the lineup and play and perform. And, up front, they seem to have that. Cowan, Quillen, he came out of the lineup on Saturday, but they might have a couple of guys there. In net, I guess Joseph Wall, they drafted, they developed.
Yep.
And they're not alone. A lot of teams have to deal with this, but it's just the realities of, an all-in mentality for a long time are coming back to get them now. And it happened quickly. It happened quickly. And yes, they have 60 games left, but that's, it's 60 games. I was kind of doing the math last night. Now, we'll see. Parity, there's a lot of parity in the East right now, and maybe that continues throughout the year, and maybe there just aren't that many separators.
Hit us with it. What do they got to go?
Well, something like, again, it changes. Some years the second wild card might need 92 points. Some years they might need 98. Like every year's a little bit different.
Calgary had 96 last year. They missed.
And they didn't get in. Exactly. Some years you do. Sometimes it's that third team in the division that has like 89 points and they get in just because the division stinks and the top 2 teams run away.
Yeah.
But something around 35, 20, and 5 the rest of the way. Like
something like that.
So
what,
or
30,
30, 20, and 5. Sorry, I got the math wrong. 30, 20, and 5. Something like that. In around, they got to get to like 95 points.
Yeah.
And I don't know, can you see them winning 34, 35 games the rest of the way? Like, can they get there? I don't know. I mean, that's
the only thing is, Brian, like, if we were looking at the roster that was iced Saturday night, you'd probably say no.
Well, if it's Saturday night, it's definitively no. Like,
right.
if that's their roster, and it's not. To be fair to the Leafs, it's not.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
If that's the roster, they might be dead last in the NHL. Legitimately, they're chasing Nashville with that lineup they had on Saturday night.
But what do they got coming up here? They got a road trip, so it's Columbus. It's what on Saturday night? It's at Washington.
Apparently, it's Friday too. So it's Toronto Maple Leafs at Washington on Friday. Toronto Maple Leafs at Pittsburgh on Saturday. And it's Toronto Maple Leafs at Columbus. So it's 3 games in 4 nights. Columbus Wednesday, Washington Friday, Pittsburgh Saturday. And then they go into the following Tuesday into Florida and into Carolina.
Carolina next Thursday.
Right.
Yeah. Like, so you can kind of look at it, guys. If they don't get it together on that road trip and they fall even farther back, there's big-time trouble.
Well, you're right, they have to be 500 on that road trip. Like, these long road trips right now with the parity in the league, you got to hope for 500. But what you need to do is make hay at home.
They can't do that anymore, though, Noodles.
Guys, look at their schedule they've had. They've had a gift from God with their schedule.
Yeah.
The easiest schedule you could ever imagine. They should be so far ahead of the pack right now. It's insane.
I believe they have the toughest schedule remaining in the NHL.
They do, because they've had the easiest up to now.
So that's the thing. Like, I hear you. It's a Monday. I don't want to come in here and be all negative and hating, but I keep talking with Leaf fans who are like, well, all they got to do is win 5 in a row. Yes, but what if they lose 5 in a row? Then what? Like, it's actually more likely that happens than the other way. The way they've been playing, like, yes, they could win 5 in a row and then reset, and you're a point out of the playoffs, and then maybe everyone comes back and it's all good. Is that possible? Of course. Is that what they're hoping for? Obviously. Should that be the mentality around that team? Yes. There's still 60 games left. They're a veteran team. There's no trades coming. It doesn't happen in the NHL. Nothing of substance is going to happen here. So you got to play it out. You got to hope Berube has some answers and can push some buttons and goalies get hot or whatever.
Yeah.
But they have the toughest schedule left. Like I said, with 60 games left, about, something like 35, 20, and 5, give and take. They got to get going. So 500 over any run probably isn't doable anymore because the other teams, like you said, are also winning. Ottawa is perfect on this road trip. They're in L.A. tonight, and Brady Tkachuk is going to return this week.
Yeah.
And Tampa's hot, and Detroit keeps winning, and Boston keeps going. And Florida, they got tons of injuries too. They're still playing okay. They're keeping their head above water. So
you said it a couple of weeks ago, Brian. They have to, injuries or without injuries, put this in their rearview mirror and have it be their worst stretch of the season, because they can't do anything like it again. Or they're just like we talked about this road trip. If they get clubbed in this road trip, it's game over. They're probably not making the playoffs. You just talked about the math.
The math doesn't lie. The biggest challenge, you look at, let's look at even last year or in previous years. Always you have to have a very good home record, and your road record has to be very respectable, 500 or better. What I'm saying is this road trip, they started 0-1. They've got 5 more. You've got to you can't go 0-5. 0-6. You've got to find a way to scratch and claw. I'll give you an example. The Oilers had that 7-game road trip. They ended up 3-3-1. And it's an ugly road trip, and they had to go. But you end up 500, and now you're going home.